you shaved your beard, man.
Clean,
Wow.
clean
I know I
shaven.
stepped outside though, and I thought maybe I should have kept it. I got a shipyard though. We still have some shipyards in the fridge.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we just, kind of want to say we're so thankful you're back home safe and, really everybody tried to, live a normal life, but we were all sailing along with you a little bit because of what you gave us. And the bottom line is, now I'm kind of curious, and everybody's got a bunch of different little questions, but the biggest thing is you feeling good and how you feeling and what are you thinking?
Well, I guess to answer your first question, like, am I feeling good? Is yes and no. To be totally honest, this is the most devastating, brutally difficult thing of my entire life to put this much money into one effort and one campaign, and no matter how you cut it, it is a failure because the mark of success in this race is whether you finish the race or not. And I didn't finish the race. The boat didn't get around, and the boat got lost at sea. So it's a really unfortunate ending, and it's incredibly difficult and challenging. But on the other hand, though, I do feel fairly good because I think I was sailing, given the hand I had to play, I think I was sailing a pretty good race, and I think I performed pretty well. And I don't think that I could have done anything differently. And I don't think that dismasting was my fault. And I think it was the right decision to ditch the boat. So I don't really have a ton of guilt over feeling like I messed up, or feeling like I didn't do as well as I could have. So, and then furthermore, I just want to get back on the horse. I just want to I want to find some new projects. I want to get back on the horse, and my desire to do the Vendée Globe has not changed. If anything, I think it's even been strengthened, because I did my first round the world race, and it ended in a tragic failure and on a very sad note. And I want to go back and I want to do it better. And all the things that I learned, I want to try to implement all the things that I learned, and I want to do it better from start to finish. And so it's a very wide range of emotions I've experienced in the last 10 days. And now I just want to move on and do something positive in the future and make some big positive moves and immerse myself in a new project. And I want to do something just to move on. But it's important for me to get back on the horse and definitely get back to sailing and hopefully begin working on a cool new project,
So, we did a little bit of talking, Marissa and I and others, about shipware and the idea of being able to raise capital, tying it into a new entity that is not Shipyard, but associated with Shipyard, with the idea of the goal of the Vendée race and all that. When is the next Vendée race?
Well, the next Vendée Globe is this November, but there's no way that we would do that one. It takes years to qualify. So I'm hoping to do the race in November of 2028.
Okay.
The next one starts November of this year. My original plan before the Global Solo Challenge, and I think even now, my goal was to find the right partners to work with and then be at the finish line of this next race so that we can go buy a boat. So right now, most of the good boats, the Vendée Globe is growing at a incredibly quick pace, even right now. So it's now gone to a thing where there's 50 boats and you've got to qualify. There's more boats. It used to be, even just a few years ago, it was 25 or 30 boats. When it started, it was 13 boats, sort of like the Global Solo Challenge was 16 boats. This thing is 44 boats this year, and there's 55 boats trying to do it. And at the next Vendée Globe, there's going to be 50 spots, and there's going to be 70 boats trying to do it. And there's going to be multiple Americans in the one in 2028 as well. That's already happening. So it's going to be a really crazy next 4 years. And I hope I get to be a part of that. That's kind of my next goal now, is to put myself in a position to be a part of that energy and try to harness and capture some of that energy, but also I think build on some of the momentum from this last race, because even though it ended in and failure, I think that there is a real opportunity to build on the momentum that has been generated and hopefully be a part of the next Monday Globe.
Yeah. I think the end of the day, it's a huge challenge. Obviously, I think Bruce, when he did it, there was in '04, and he had 20 boats and 9 finished, and then so obviously it is huge, and we can talk about that idea with Shipware and some of the others, and I think if you paint a picture, there's a lot of people that are inspired by that vision, and there are a lot of people that are. The question becomes like, what type of funding group do you try to go with, and how do you play the game, and all those are things you've probably thought about and banged around, and so we were kind of curious, like when somebody rescues you, like now there's another guy getting rescued. Do you end up having to pay for that, or how's that all work?
Everything's different. I think every situation is a little bit different, but in this one, there was no significant outlay of government resources. So the U.S. Coast Guard, they had a couple guys on duty that were already on duty, that were already there, and they might have made some phone calls and helped relay some communications, but there wasn't a significant, use of Coast Guard resources. And then from the Argentinian standpoint, again, there was not a significant use of resources for them. The Argentinians, same thing. They had guys that were already on duty that were relaying phone calls and communications. And then once we got really close, they sent a boat out just to grab me off the ship. But that was just like a 1-hour boat ride total. I mean, they were only 20 minutes. We were only 20 minutes offshore. So they came right out, and they were very gracious and very kind. And so yeah, no one seems to be very concerned about it. There was no big use of resources. And then it wasn't like they had to dispatch a ship to go search and rescue and find me at a cost of millions of dollars to the taxpayers. So there's no one seems concerned at all. I personally thought that the owner of the freight ship, I thought that maybe they would try to recoup something, and they had to physically turn around and go 100 miles upwind or 100 miles downwind, and then retrace those 100 miles going back towards Argentina. So the freight ship, they probably wasted close to a day of their time, resources, and fuel to come get me once you total it all up. So the freight ship company definitely did incur an expense of coming to get me. And they were incredibly gracious and kind and professional. And I can't quite relay my gratitude or my appreciation or my respect. I can't quite put it into words. They all did phenomenal, and I'm super grateful to a lot of different people that helped me, because I actually was in a very life-threatening situation. So in many ways, you can say that like they saved my life, because it is not overblown dramatic to say that there's a really good chance I actually would have died in that scenario. So they saved my life. And I'm very grateful to everyone. But to answer your question, no one's made any effort to try to like bill me anything. So yeah.
So thinking about the future, and do sailors like you focus on, do you start racing again in other types of races, like, or do you to get ready for something like that, or the Vendée is how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah. But yeah, absolutely, 100%. So US Patriot Sailing actually has an opportunity with a Class 40 on the West Coast. So we have an older Class 40 on the West Coast that I'm going to have access to really soon. And I'm the most logical likely candidate to get to use that boat for some solo racing, and then also to train up some other veterans to do some sailing. But I probably am going to go do some Class 40 racing on the West Coast here very soon out of Los Angeles, and hoping that pans out. And I'm trying to help make that pan out. I will definitely get into doing some other racing, most likely on crude boats with other people where I can bring a lot of experience and knowledge and help and make that boat go fast with other people. So I am going to be getting back into a wide variety of different types of racing, but I'm going to be focusing on, yeah, for sure, some shorthanded sailing and training, but also I want to begin putting together a campaign that can get me into a 60-foot IMOCA, which is the type of boat used in the Vendée Globe. I want to try to get into a 60-foot IMOCA to get ready for the Vendée Globe, because the Vendée Globe in 2028, you don't just sign up for that race in 2028 and hit the start line. Due to the popularity of the Vendée Globe, you have to actually qualify through the IMOCA Globe Series, which there is that race. There's a race from New York to France in May. You're going to have 36 of these IMOCA 60s in New York in May. So I know that Marissa and I are planning to go, and I think Fred, you're planning to go, but even if we could get James and Robert or Sean or Emily, I mean, if we can get anyone from Shipyard, I think we should all go check that out, because I think that anyone that is not that familiar with the Vendée Globe scene and the IMOCA scene, you're going to go see that. You're going to be like, wow, this is like being at a Formula One race. Like if we could get our brand into this, how do we do that? Like, I think that if anyone that is not familiar with the Vendée Globe, if they were to actually go see that scene with their own two eyes, they would want to be a part of it, and they would begin to understand just how significant it is. Because until you see it with your own two eyes, you don't realize as an American quite how big it is. And you don't realize that if you break into that class, it is not indifferent from, or it's not different from racing Formula One or NASCAR or something like that. Like, this is a huge circuit that a lot of people around the world follow, and you get a lot of eyes on your brand, and you end up getting a positive return on your investment. That's why you have 50 corporate sponsored IMOCA 60s right now. It's because it is a good business move to actually sponsor one of these boats. So hopefully we go look at the New York to Vendée race in May in New York. But as soon as the next Vendée Globe ends, which is exactly a year from now, you get a boat, you take the boat apart and work on it because it just raced around the world. And then by the summer of next year, you're training on that boat, and then you're doing 2 or 3 or 4 races a year, so that you get 10 races under your belt over the course of 3 years. And then you go to the Vendée Globe, because to even do the Vendée Globe, you actually have to accumulate X number of points in the IMOCA Globe Series to even qualify. Like when Bruce did it, they did not even have the IMOCA Globe Series, because that was 20 years ago. So when Bruce did it, you just show up with a boat that's legal for the race. You do a qualifier similar to what I had to do. You just go sail the boat and prove that you can sail the boat and the boat works. You would go do a qualifier, and you would go do the Vendée Globe. But now, even though the race is 3 times bigger than it used to be, there's so many boats trying to do it that they actually have to weed them down. They have to, get the best talent, because there's just so much interest in the sport now that you actually have to qualify.
How do you find the boat, Ronnie? Is there like an open market after the race ends that it couldn't be that big of a market, right? How do you track down those types of boats?
Yeah, basically there are boats that are online for sale. If you look up like IMOCA 60, which is IMOCA, if you look up IMOCA 60 for sale, like on the internet, you will start finding some boats. And if you have a really, really big sponsor, then you actually build a new boat every 4 years. And then the team, so it's kind of like in baseball, right? You've got the teams like the New York Yankees and the Red Sox, and the teams that have the huge budgets. And then you've got your small market teams, like maybe the, Cincinnati Reds or something, that have a much smaller budget, or the Oakland A's, and they have almost much smaller budget. So it's like you have your rich teams and your poor teams, no different than the Global Solo Challenge. You had your rich teams and your poor teams for sure. But as an entry-level first-time campaign, we would be looking to purchase a good older secondhand boat that would get us into the scene. And so we would be looking for a good, reliable boat that had a good turn of speed. So we would definitely want to be following this race. But a lot of times you end up actually making an agreement to buy the boat before the race even starts. So a lot of those boats will be changing hands before this next Vendée Globe even starts. And then as soon as the race finishes, it's like, all right, as long as the boat gets around and you guys didn't break it, then so-and-so is going to take it as soon as the race finishes. So a lot of those boats are actually purchased on the start line or even before. But yeah, historically, when you have a race like an IMOCA's, like the Vendée Globe, where it's one class of boat in the race, historically, a lot of boats are purchased, you know, during the cycle beforehand, which is what we're in right now. So,
And are there any favorites that if we're starting to tune into that kind of that culture of sailing on that Vendée Globe, like who do you like, who do we pay attention to? I'm a novice at this, so I don't know anything about it. Who do I start looking for?
well, again, like we said, you have your rich teams and you have your poor teams, and I think that as an American who is new at this and is trying to step up to that level, I'm coming in as a rookie, and so it is extremely highly likely that we're going to be one of the teams with a more modest budget. So just having said that, we're going to be looking to try to find a cost-effective, reliable platform that we're not going to have to drastically change. You know, when you get to these levels, if you have a lot of money, then you're looking for that extra 1% of speed, and you have no problem paying a lot of money to make huge modifications to the boat just to find a bit more speed. But in all reality, we're going to be looking for, I think, a very good, reliable, relatively simple platform that, if sailed properly and if good decisions are made throughout the course of the campaign, we can really punch above our weight and go achieve some good results on the IMOCA Globe Series, and then go achieve a good result during the race. Because I mean, I think a non-foiling boat got fifth. Like one of the older boats got like fifth place in the last Vendée Globe. So with $2 or $3 million, they beat a bunch of teams that had $20 million. And, you know, it's like you do your first time campaign with your first time sponsor, and you try to grow that team. And as you gain experience and as you gain results and as you gain credibility, your sponsor also gains exposure and begins to realize that it's a good investment, and they want to divert even more funds to that and really grow with you. So I'm hoping to find the right sponsors and partners to where we can go in there with a modest campaign and punch above our weight, and then really come back for the second campaign in 2032 and really try to be super competitive. So I mean, that's my goal, is just to get to the start line and run a good campaign. But
so, and with that note, the whole idea of using what I see as a new brand, and a concept of creating a company that is a, you know, for-profit company associated, you know, you personify shipware similar to other brands have personified mountain climbing with Patagonia to a variety of other things. It you know, and trying to put a package, and I see just using video content, yourself, myself, and the idea of going after somebody, whether it's, you know, you start with an LL Bean to underwrite another division or another player, or you go after you know, a billionaire who says, fuck it, I just want to have some fun, well, I'll own a piece of this company, or I'll do it with these guys. I don't think it's the craziest idea. It's a mountain you got to climb, and it's an idea, and there may be a sponsor out there that goes out, you know, like a Hugo Boss or something like that, that'll underwrite a big chunk, maybe, but I don't know. That's a whole other thing, right? That's like getting a NASCAR sponsor or something, which is definitely doable. But I think when you're talking about a global thing with this kind of exposure, we might have a good shot at having, or it's a number of smaller people that invest in an entity that, okay, you're investing in a company that's making the sponsorship, and the skipper is also a partner in the deal, and you know, his girlfriend's also a sponsor, and it's a story, you know, that's captivating, and a lot of people have been captivated by you and your story, and a lot of it relates to, you know, your military background, you know, the whole idea, and it is for a lot of people that are associated with us a new thing, right? So like, why are we doing this? And I think by having an entity that is separate from Shipyard and a mission of creating as a, is in going after this thing, I mean, if you've, again, you feel like you failed in the sense of you didn't finish the race, you feel like that to a degree. Strangely, I don't feel as much like I didn't do anything other than, as a company, we all got together and tried to support you. But we were, disappointed, but at the same time, not feeling like it was, we complete lost or complete failure by any means. So that being said, I mean, the fact that you want to go after this is kind of inspiring to me, because if you're sitting on a boat fucking flopping around without a mast thinking, am I gonna live or not, I don't know if you want to put yourself wanting to fucking go back out there and do that again is a little wild to me. It's almost like, okay, maybe I'll take that investment banking job or go start a car dealership or something. So
Well, there's a lot to unpack because you just touched on like 20 different topics, but
yeah, but you don't need to. I mean, today you don't need to dissect, but it's interesting to me that one, you want to go after this, because I told it to you when I saw Bruce Schwab sail out of the harbor in Portland, Maine in 04, I'm thinking to myself, well, if he ever makes it back, that'll be a miracle in itself, because it wasn't like, I mean, they've lost a number of people on the Vendée, and obviously this isn't like you're sailing across Casco Bay or to Newport. You're, again, so.
Well, again, one thing I do want to reiterate is I don't feel like I failed. I don't feel like we failed. I don't feel like the campaign was a failure. I'm just saying it ended in failure, that we didn't achieve the goal we set out to, which was to race around the world. And again, that doesn't mean that the whole thing was a failure. And again, I've been really analyzing the situation. And again, I don't think this situation was through any fault of my own. And I don't think I made any big mistakes. So it's like, I can hold my head in that regard. And I know what I'm capable of, especially if I have the right boat. This boat was a real challenge. And I was really always, the whole time during the race, I was not sailing very hard. I was trying to sail very safely on the boat, trying not to break the boat. I had an older, unique boat that I was trying to nurse around the world and get to the finish line. And yeah, the whole thing was a challenge, but this isn't supposed to be easy. And this was my ticket to the dance. So I took it and did as much as I could with it. And I'm proud of how I did, but it's just, I'm sad at how it ended. But even the fact that I'm still here with my title sponsor right now, and we're already scheming about how to do the next thing. So it was not a failure. We all still have the bug. You've got the bug. You want to be involved. I've got the bug. Once this gets in your blood, it's like it's there to stay. You know what I mean? And it's like but to go back a couple of steps, you were talking about kind of how to do this. And I think there's a million ways to do this. And you see it over in France. There's 50 different teams, but there's 50 different campaigns, and they're being done 50 different ways. Everyone's path to the Vendée Globe is going to be a little bit different.
I know we only have like 7 minutes left on
7
the
minutes,
Zoom.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like so many questions about like what we can do to like help, I guess, like get you to the next step, Vendée Globe 2028. And it's not really being our world, like as much as we have for ideas, it's very helpful to get your insights on what you think is the best case. And, even to the point, like if you think there's like things that we could be doing differently in the immediate, as far as like media coverage to help you get like your own personal brand up there, just in case that helps it. I mean, again, talking about like some of the positive takeaways from this is your kind of explosion on Instagram in the last week. I mean, I think from basically 10,000 to 45,000 followers in 7 days. So it's like, are there more things we could be doing like in the immediate, or maybe that's like a whole other separate conversation, but just thinking of, yeah, trying to think a lot about how we can help prepare you.
You know, I think that maybe we should try to do something maybe at the tasting room. And I think that we should do I think that now that I'm back in town, sometime in the next few weeks, we should have a night where we have a slideshow maybe, and we try to just tell that story and try to make that an event and try to like tell that story and begin building the team and the people that are going to, you know, help make this become a reality. And I think there's a million ways that we can do it and grow it. Sounds like we're on limited time though, but I think it could be cool to have some kind of event at Shipyard where we take 90 minutes and make a presentation and share the story with the community. I think that could be pretty cool.
Again, just very happy and thankful that you're back safe and sound, and knowing you want to go back at it. I just think everybody wanted to say welcome home, and you know, at the same time, we'll keep pushing that, and then we'll figure.
In closing, while we're getting here short on time, I just really, from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you guys enough. I know it started with Fred jumping on board, and then but everyone, the other 4 of you that are on top of my screen here, each and every one of you have been so involved and so supportive, and I've definitely felt the love and received that love in person in Spain and in Maine. And from the bottom of my heart, I can't say thank you guys enough, because it's such a big endeavor, as you know, and it took so much out of me, but it was really, truly, honestly inspiring when I knew that with Shipyard, with US Patriot Sailing, with all of my other sponsors, and then with all of my supporters and individual donors that helped me get there, it was I could feel how many people were supporting me, and it made me really want to just do the best I could and make those people proud. And I can't thank you guys enough for all your support and all your help. I truly wouldn't have made it as far as I even made it without you guys. So thank you very much. And I'm grateful that everyone's excited to hopefully try to go to the next level, you know? So thank you guys for your support. I really appreciate it.